Moshe Rabbeinu's name appears nowhere. To make matters more confounding, this portion is usually read the week of Zayin Adar, Moshe's Hebrew birthday, and Yartzai. Instead of taking center stage, his name is oddly absent. Bal HaTurim connects the absence of Moshe's name to his response after Borei Olam was upset with Am Yisrael for the sin of the golden calf. "Wipe me from your book if you don't forgive the Jewish people," Moshe stated. The Jews were forgiven. However, the Medrash in Bereshit Rabbah states that the curse of a Hacham will come to pass, and this is why Moshe's name is missing. His words had power. While Moshe was the greatest Navi that will ever exist, our words also hold tremendous power. Prayer isn't just words that we recite. They have the potential to change our reality. Kucha B'richu gave us an amazing gift of prayer in giving each other blessings that, when said with sincerity, can actually turn into something real and tangible. While in this case, Moshe's words caused a void, we can choose words that inspire, help, heal, and build. In the early 17th century, the Bohemian government levied heavy taxes on Jewish communities, forcing exorbitant amounts to cover a massive war deficit. The Tosfot Yom Tov, Rabbi Yom Tov Lipman Heller, was Rav of the city of Prague, and in his dual capacity as chief rabbi of Bohemia, he was in charge of the group that divided the sum among the members of each community. He did his utmost to ensure fairness to everyone, yet some members complained and maliciously slandered him, claiming that he was a revolutionary plotting to overthrow the emperor. They even printed negative statements about him and his Sifarim, where it was falsely alleged that Rabbi Heller had defamed Christianity in his works, the Ma'adnei Melech, as well as another Sefer, Lechem Hamudot. Unable to prove his innocence, he was brought to Vienna and imprisoned in a rat-infested dungeon. His enemies had thought he would merely be imprisoned, but he was actually sentenced to death, and his writings were to be publicly burned. Incredible story. However, after some influential Jewish people interceded on his behalf, the death sentence was commuted to life imprisonment. He was forced to pay a monetary fine, and his writings were amended to eliminate any so-called negative statements. Shemuel, the oldest son of the Tosfot Yom Tov, was in a yeshiva in Metz and unaware of his father's imprisonment. He received a letter asking him to come home and began the long journey to Prague on foot. Purely on impulse, he stopped off in Vienna to visit relatives after quite the hiatus, and walking through the city park, on the way to his uncle's home, he chanced upon the most frightening scene. A ferocious bull was madly charging at a young noblewoman and a nursemaid carrying a small boy. Her eyes couldn't believe it. The bulging, snorting, and bellowing, the raging bull was no more than 10 yards away from the terrified women, running for their lives, shrieking and crying helplessly. In a split second, Shmuel ran over to the nursemaid, tore off her red scarf which had provoked the beast, fearlessly throwing it down in front of the crazed animal. The bull lunged at it, shredding the red cloth with its powerful horns. And by diverting the charge, the young man's bravery allowed the women to run behind the shelter of a tree, while the animal's owner managed to subdue it. Precisely at that moment, the noblewoman's husband pulled up in an extravagant coach bedecked in gold and gems. Excitedly, the women told him what had happened and introduced Shemuel as their rescuer. The noblewoman and man, as it turned out, was the French ambassador, a close friend of the emperor. The grateful man came over to the valiant rescuer, and while thanking him profusely, he asked, "How can I ever repay you for your brave and kind deed? What can I give you? You merely need to mention it." Taken aback, Shemuel replied, "There's nothing that I require. I merely wished to help someone in distress. I am a Jewish yeshiva student with very simple needs." The ambassador insisted on giving him his address, adding, "If I can ever be of assistance to you, it would be my greatest pleasure." They bid each other farewell, and Shmuel continued on his journey as had planned. Upon arrival at his uncle's house, the young boy was greeted with a somber reception. When his uncle and aunt realized who he was, they burst into tears and recounted the grim tale of his father's incarceration under such horrifying conditions. Shmuel knew precisely what needed to be done. The very next morning, he hurried to the home of the French ambassador, who was surprised to see him back so soon, frankly. Shmuel detailed the sinister plot perpetrated against his father and, in effect, the entire Jewish community at large. He begged him to intercede with the ruling authority. "I'll do even better," winked the nobleman reassuringly. "Not only will I speak to His Majesty, but my wife will have one of those heart-to-heart talks with her friend, the Empress. Have no fear, my boy, we'll take care of it." The very next day, Reb Yom Tov's suffering came to an end, and he was reunited with his loving family. He went on to write the extraordinarily famous Mishnah called the Tosfot Yom Tov, a colossal Talmud scholar both in Prague and Poland during the Golden Ages, studying under the Maharal as well as the Kli Yakar. In contemporary society, he is widely acclaimed for his eloquent blessing of the Misheberach, a heartfelt plea to the Almighty on behalf of those who observe silent devotion exclusively to Borei Olam within the confines of the synagogue. Remarkably, this magnificent synagogue in Flatbush stands out precisely for upholding this tradition. Upon stepping foot into the sacred space, a profound stillness envelops the atmosphere from the onset of Tefillah until the final echo of Kaddish. Elevating the standard of reverence for Tefillah to an exceptional degree, Sha'ar Tosfot Yom Tov serves as a shining example for other synagogues to emulate. Moshe Rabbeinu teaches us the power of our words and Tefillah. Borei Olam designed the world with offers of opportunity of growth, waiting for our mindful participation. Each challenge, of course, presents itself as a unique thread in the fabric of our journey. Some threads, they unfurl slowly, requiring patience and perseverance, while others demand swift and decisive action, testing the depths of our own resolve. Each summons us to respond with compassion and conviction. Shmuel's cheetah-like response led to the greatness, showing how our actions absolutely impact our journey. Our goal is to approach life with thoughtful decisions, blending resilience and compassion as we navigate our own twists and turns. Shabbat Shalom u'mevorach.